Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. You might be freaking out right now at the idea that we have a hypercar in the shop that we're shooting today, because we're not known for hypercars, supercars, exotic cars, even sports cars. We're obviously known for American muscle, which brings me right back to exactly why this car is here. From a little company called Hennessey down in Texas. They've produced what's arguably in the top couple of fastest cars in the world. As far as I know, this car's rated to do right around 311 miles per hour. Take that one in for a second, 311 miles per hour. But what I love about this is, as radical as it is into the world of supercars and hypercars, obviously it's most known for the Italians and Europeans producing vehicles like that. I love that here in America, there's a true hypercar powered by a glorious 6.6 liter V8 with twin turbos on it. There's 5 different drive modes on this car. When you put it into the F5 mode, that's where it's totally uncorked, and this car at that point makes over 1,800 horsepower. It's just truly, truly mind-numbing what they've produced here. This one, as far as I know, we're one of the first 2 or 3 to show not just the Venom F5, but the Venom F5 Roadster. Currently the top's on, and when the caretaker for this car gets here, my friend Scott Elrod, I'll introduce you to Scott in a little bit here. But when Scott gets here, we're gonna obviously ask, can we pop the top? I didn't want to do it without permission. There's so many things on this car that you want to pop open, but without permission and without the right tools, not happening. In order to expose the engine bay on this car, to save on weight, there is no latch for the engine bay. It's all fastened down by Allen screws, probably shaved off, who knows, ounces? But it matters when you're trying to go over 300 miles per hour in a so-called production car. One of the things you find very interesting right away is it's a single clutch transmission. I've driven plenty of dual clutch transmissions and they're fairly smooth. There might be that little lag when you're trying to do a slow roll crawling into a parking space. This one, there's considerable amount more lag. I don't know the engineering on it well enough to know why single clutch transmission, but I gotta guess it's, again, back to the top speed stuff. Some of the other very few mechanical things I know about it, we can't really get into the suspension because we can't uncover and see what the car is, but I love that they went with a staggered wheel tire setup on this. I mean, they gave it a ton of meat out back. You got a 345/30 on a 20-inch wheel. Up front, you got a 265 on a 19 with a 35 profile. You know, there's so many features about this car. You got to first look just how far back this splitter goes when you pull off the front. There is no latch mechanism to clamshell open this thing. It's shut. We're not able to open this today. The cooling system's underneath here. There is no storage anywhere like most of the hypercars would have some level of storage. This has none. There's a removable panel here which allows you to access all your masters for fluids. I never have issue when what you're trying to do is create aero, so you add wings, especially active wings. This is a top speed car, and where they went to do the largest portion of aero is all on the underside of this car. Although everywhere you look, you see things that are about creating aero. You almost want to call it a wing back here, the lift in this panel. This doesn't move, it doesn't change, it's not active, it does not move whatsoever. In the Roadster version, which there's only 30 of these being produced in the world, making this car just shy of $3 million. You know, the other things I love on the design elements, because when you look at this car, you will see design elements. I'm sure they've had to have taken inspiration from other vehicles, from other well-known manufacturers. I personally love how much focus there is on getting the heat out of here along the engine compartment here. When you look back here at these really cool shaped taillights, they're hollowed out on the center, creating room for air to dissipate, get the heat out of the car. Same thing down here, these vents that are covered up in the left and right corner, outlining the diffuser, all about getting heat out of this engine bay. And then you can't help but notice the spectacular positioning of the exhaust And when I say the exhaust on this, I can hear the tone it makes because I've had the pleasure of starting and running this car a few times over the last couple of days that it's been here at my place. There is no doubt this is an American muscle car, pure and true, but packaged in a setting designed to go way faster than I'm ever gonna go. So let's jump in the interior and I'll walk you around it. So of course you gotta have the doors that open like that. I mean, you have to, right? One of the things I noticed when I opened the doors, the door hinges here. I mean, this like looks like America to me. It's big, solid, meaty billet parts. And then they were smart enough to put in the F5 logo set back in there so it's not in your face. But when you get into the interior on this car, you know right away it's a race car. Actually, I'll say this much before you even get in the interior, because this is an entire monocoque chassis, all carbon. Oftentimes, when you enter these cars, the sill is so wide and so tall. Like I've climbed in and out of an S7 before, a Celine S7, and it's not an easy one to get in and out of. This car with the cutout here for the entrance into the car, they obviously thought about things, you know, because the intent was to not just make a collector, but a real driver car. Instantly, you can't help but notice just minimalist. I mean, it is minimalist in here. It's pure about the driving experience. Starting with, you know, I'll still call it a steering wheel, but the truth is it's a yoke. And this is full on Formula One approach, right? Everything that you need is here. Turn signals are here. Your drive mode is here. How you start the car, holding just the simple ignition button. It's all right here. Everything that you touch in here has a feel to it. The buttons for going drive, neutral, reverse, the touch of the buttons. Here, there's this scroll screen. All this is for is your temperature. You can either use the dial on the outside or you can just gliss across it. Even the touch of this wheel here, it just feels really good. I don't know how else to say it. Like, you can tell time and thought went into the engineering of that. And it's very simple. Your center console, all you've got is 2 vents. That's all you're getting in this car. Small cockpit, so I don't think it would be an issue even on a warm day. They are based in Texas, so I'm sure they planned for that, right? But it's real simple going down the console. You got your air here, your 3 gears here before you go to paddles. And then you've got windows. You've got your up down, which I really like because, you know, typical with a hypercar, you're going to get a front lift to clear that front splitter. This car lifts the front, then the rear, gets the car good ground clearance, and then it sets back down with the rear and then the front back into your drive mode. Hazard, hopefully you don't need that. Door lock and unlock. And then here's your parking brake on and off. That's really it. Very simple touch screen here for audio. Obviously, I got no interest in hearing that because I'm looking forward to having only heard this car at idle. I actually can't wait to hear it driving down the road. The engine is right here, right behind us. I started dialing through this, you know, sitting in the drive position here. There is no comfort mode on this. Comfort mode starts at sport mode on the screen here, which is, as I understand, making right around 1500 horsepower. Then you dial it up, wet mode. I guess that's in case you want to drive your Venom F5 Roadster out in the pouring rain. Probably not going to happen, but good to know it's there. Drag mode. This car is actually set up to put itself into a mode of drag. And I think it's really cool that it even shows you, only on this screen does it show you tire pressures as well. Obviously, if you're going for drag mode, you're probably going to want to drop those rears down. Then you go here to track mode, where it's almost a completely unglued car. You got an 8,000 RPM red line. The gauge again changes. Each one of the screens have a different screen depending on the drive mode. And finally is F5 mode, which is the fully unglued 1800 plus horsepower. Can't even imagine. For one, I'm never gonna own a $3 million car is the reality. If I did and owned this car, you're so limited in what you can do with this. This isn't a car you're running to the grocery store going to get a cup of coffee in. Although I do find this a pretty interesting point that I found out. Leave it to Doug DeMuro to find out all the quirks about cars. At the end of the center console, you have this really beautiful carbon piece. There's a cut in the carbon here, which you go, well, why wouldn't you just make this a one-piece carbon? What's really cool is if you want, you can have Hennessey replace this piece of carbon with a cup holder. So even a guy like me that just loves cup holders, I could be happy in a $3 million Venom F5 Roadster because I can put my bottle of water there. The other thing I didn't mention, it down at the very bottom here, is the Hennessey Venom F5 Roadster plate. And it's also numbered. This is car number 2 out of the 30 that are going to be produced. As far as I know, I do believe all the allocations have already been sold on this car. There's so many more details. I suppose I shouldn't leave this detail out given that I'm sitting in these really stellar carbon seats. Definitely not made for comfort. As I understand, you can add or take away padding depending on the size of the individual driving the car. The seat does move forward and back, but any other adjustment from there is done. The steering wheel telescopes as well as goes up and down. And I gotta tell you, the visibility, just the little bit I've driven around here, not bad. You can easily adjust over here on the console. You can easily make an adjustment to your mirrors, which I did, and I felt very comfortable sitting in here. And then the other thing is, you know, if you look back, mostly what you see is an engine staring you down. So what they did was put a camera on the back that acts as a reverse camera, but it's also a rear view mirror cam the entire time you're driving the car. So you are gonna see what's going on behind you, because I've been in cars like a Ford GT where you don't see much of what's going on behind you. And I'll leave it with this. I'm one of those older dudes, right? I'm 58 years old, so I grew up in the time where it was kind of cool to be proud to be an American, and I genuinely am. And I love that in a very subtle manner, Hennessey opted to put the American flag over on the door here. And then on the passenger door, instead of mirroring the flag, they went with the Texas flag, given that they're from the state of Texas. And other than that, you know, the storage stuff on this car is pretty funny. You have, I'm gonna pull out my phone so you can see this. There's a spot here where you can put your phone. There's another hole up here, which is about big enough to put your phone. And then down there's a storage compartment that opens, which is basically a glove box. That's about all you get for storage in this car. My buddy Scott just showed up. I'm going to introduce you guys to Scott in a couple minutes, and we are going to take this car out on the streets and drive it. What a trip. I can honestly say this is the biggest dollar car I've ever driven down the road, bro. Hey, you guys, by the way, I didn't introduce my friend Scott properly. You guys, this is my pal Scott Elrod. Scott owns a place called Concierge, which is a storage facility like mine, but on some serious steroids. And Scott has gone from being a mentor to a friend at this point. Kind of got me going in the business.
Good.
You answered all my questions and set me up with a really bulletproof contract.
Yeah.
What are you up to now? You said 5 facilities you have?
Yeah, we've got 5. 2 in Montana. We took over John Bennett and Seamus's auto vault up in Missoula. Just plug it away, man.
Pretty interesting, dude. Watching your business, you have such massive relationships in the realm of the really high net worth individuals. I mean, how often do you drive a multi-million-dollar car down the road doing vehicle exercise?
Right, no, it happens on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, like on a daily almost. So because we keep the cars going and there's a schedule, you know, every 45 to 60 days they get an exercise, and then for carbureted stuff, every 15 days we'll run them through a heat cycle, because you know, if these cars sit, they die, but
yeah,
we're sort of desensitized to it, you know?
That's my point, dude, is because I'm sitting in here right now. I got to tell you, when I pulled this out just to do our B-roll shots of it, I mean, first gear, like 5 miles an hour,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got to admit, like, kind of intimidated by it, you know? Like, I get it, at the end of the day, it's a car.
Sure.
But it's still, this is one of those really daunting vehicles in the visibility,
Well, there's just a responsibility that we have. These clients have entrusted us with these cars.
Like, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed
to screw up.
There's no oops.
There's no, right. I like it. There's no oops.
So I'm going to nose lift us here because I know it dives a little bit.
Pretty quick.
I think we'll be
It's
okay.
actually got some good clearance, believe it or not.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Some Porsches we got a couple of like Corvettes and stuff that are super low.
So it's full manual, by the way, isn't it? Like you put it in drive, you have to, or if you put it in drive, does it shift on its own?
You could go. You should have it in drive right now, and then depending on what mode you have it in, I think because it's in sport mode by default, it causes you to change gears. But I honestly don't know.
I mean, dude, if you did a second gear roll on, you're gonna be over 100 miles an hour in a blip. So it did shift on its own.
Yeah. So, and then the nose lift just went down.
So right about 3,000 RPMs, I noticed is where it just did its.
It's shifting.
That's where it shifted.
And then it just
blipped on its own.
Yeah. Okay, there it did it again. Yeah.
Wow.
So there you go.
This is so freaky.
They're gonna have to ask for a refund.
Once it's.
Don't forget your buttons are on the steering wheel.
Armchair quarterback.
I know where the damn buttons are, dude. I'm more freaking out that I'm driving a 1800, or no, we're only in 1500 horsepower mode right now.
Are we?
Sport mode.
Is there? Okay.
Man, that single clutch shift is so wild, dude.
It's very,
it jerks. Like you can tell this car wasn't built to do what we're doing.
No, driving around town.
Like I'm sure this car's just annoyed right now. Like, dude,
it's pissed.
Are you going to put your foot in it sometime soon? You know?
Yeah.
I haven't even looked, or I've been so focused on what the hell's going on in my peripheral. I haven't even held. Oh,
that's fine. Little
water.
Yeah.
Well, car's gonna need a wipe down, bro. Sorry about that. Oh.
Well, it's waterproof.
That hurt. Is the whole car clear, Rod?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's cool at the top off.
It's actually, I mean, obviously, I haven't gone over about 3,000 RPMs, but I thought it was going to be a lot louder.
But 1,800 horsepower. Like out of a V8. 6.7 liter.
6.6, yeah. There's so much information available, and then I found some conflicting information, like 330 miles an hour, 310 miles an hour. But as I understand it on the engine, it's an LS-based engine.
Yes. Yep. And then all their
6.2 aluminum, they punch it out to 6.6 twin turbos. Obviously, it's a fully built. You know, there's no stock internals on this engine.
Yeah, we have I think the air compressor and the alternator are stock off the bench, but the rest is all there.
Yeah. Even like, I was looking at it, the brakes, which I forgot to mention, you guys, in the walking around talking about the car. Massive, I think it's a 16-inch carbon ceramics, 6-piston fronts.
Who does the brakes? Is it all?
So there's no info on it, which
so
brings the question. It's either they went to the level of that, including the wheels, or they had somebody white label it. Like,
yep. Most likely.
But don't know.
Yeah. We had took the steering wheel off of the Tesla Plaid. Yeah. That steering wheel.
Yeah.
No, or did Elon get that from Hennessey?
So from what I heard, Elon grabbed it from Hennessey.
Yeah.
That this was out before the Plaid.
Yes.
But it's all Formula One, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's. One of those, it's so funny, dude. I mean, I know you get this. You better than anyone. We're in fast cars all the time. The temptation.
Oh, right.
I mean, the temptation is so horrible, but what are you gonna do? The liability to us is radical.
So that, I'll be honest with you, the temptation was never really there, because you're like, this isn't mine. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird thing. Like, hey,
I get you.
But I know what you're saying is, but you're
I mean the temptation in the sense of how many times in my life am I ever going to get to drive? Like, this is predictably the only Venom F5 Roadster I'm ever driving, bro.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Right.
Now, obviously, I was raised by good parents, right?
Yeah.
So no, I'm not going to go beat on somebody else's vehicle. Oh, God.
Yeah, and we have 2 of them.
Do you really?
Yes.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah. So this is number 2.
And they're limiting it 30 and they're done, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 30 or if it's 25. I should know that.
So I thought it was 20. From what I read,
24?
maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was 24
Okay.
of the coupe and then 30 of the
Okay.
Roadster.
Yeah. The boys at Hennessey told me once a color is used, you don't get it again. So there's never going to be another orange car.
Which is just so cool. It's just violent, bro. That was
That was
just
nothing.
to give you an idea.
Yeah.
That was 4,000 RPMs. This car redlines at 8,000.
Now the car's pissed right now. It wants to drive.
It's so bad. This car hates me. Driving it at this pace is like, think about this, and I know you get this one too, dude, is most people that are automotive enthusiasts, they're never even going to see this car in person.
Right. I mean, we are. Look how many cars we see, and this is, like,
It's a freak.
so, like, I get it. But yeah,
It's a total freak.
it's a unicorn.
Perfect timing. Cop?
Yeah.
You see the cop go by?
Yeah.
He didn't seem too concerned.
No, he was cool.
That single clutch is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Have you ever driven a single clutch car before?
Yeah. The I want to say the Lamborghini SVJ 63s are single clutch.
Got it.
Yeah. Not even woken up yet. Like 4,045 is where it's like,
Yeah. When I felt it start to hit at $4,000,
Yeah.
and that was enough for me to go, lift
Yeah.
out. Be kind. I mean, God, that's just stupid power, dude. one of those shifts or what is this guy doing?
I have no idea.
I think he's got a flat tire.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Most auto enthusiasts are never even going to see one of these cars in person, let alone get to hear it, sit in it, and like I just got to do, drive this car down the road. I'm truly completely floored right now. Massive thanks to my buddy Scott Elrod at Auto Concierge for bringing this out and allowing us to shoot it. And thank you so much to the owner for allowing us to shoot this. This is one of those true dream moments that just happened. So I'm going to leave you guys with a big thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, man. Later.